Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Codergirl.py. My name is Serenity, aka Codergirl. This is my friend Scooter, and today I'm going to introduce you to slicing arrays using Python. Hope you enjoy! Alright, so in my IDE, I have one new folder, arrays. In my arrays folder, I have three new files, array.py, array1.py, and array2.py. Let's open up array.py first. So we know that we can use indices to select items from an array. For example, in array.py, you can see I've declared an array called zoo animals. And in this array, I have 4 items, or streams: giraffes, lions, flamingos, and gorillas. Oh wait, now I have to redo it because I accidentally messed up in the code. I put one quotation mark where it shouldn't be. Alright, we can just edit it out, that's cool. Alright, so in my array, I have one new folder, arrays. In my arrays folder, I have 3 new files: array.py, array1.py, and array2.py. Let's open up array.py first. So in array.py, I have an array with 4 items or strings inside. I have the string giraffes, I have the string lions, I have the string flamingos, and I have the string gorillas. We know that we can use indices to select items from an array. For example, in array.py, I have a print statement, and I print out the first item in our array, zoo animals, by using the index 0. And this will print out giraffes, since giraffes is the item at index 0. But how can we select a subset of the list, such as giraffes and lions? We can use slicing. I have an example to show you just how slicing works, so let's go see it. Alright. Slicing is a way to get a subset of a list, or, in other words, to select multiple items from the list. Let's take an example. The syntax for slicing is the array name, opening parentheses, or opening bracket, the starting index, a colon, the ending index, and a closing bracket. The starting index, when you slice, is inclusive, and the ending index is exclusive. I'll show you what those mean in this example. So let's say that we have an array of smiley faces. The Python code for this would just be declaring an array called array, and you can see that in this code right here, I have 8 items, and their values are equal to their index, just to keep it simple. So I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you can see that I've put a smiley face above each index just so we can visualize each item in the array. Now let's say that we tried to slice this array, or we tried to get a subset of this array. How would that work? You can see I have the code array, so our array name, an opening bracket, 1 for our starting index, a colon, 5 for our ending index, and a closing bracket. So let's say that we're the computer. The computer will look at the first item in the array, and the computer will see if the index for that item is equal to our starting index. So is it the place where we want to start our subset? Our first item is, of course, at index 0, which is not equal to our starting index, 1. So the computer ignores the first item. It's not going to be part of our subset. At index 1, that item there, that index is equal to our starting index, which is 1. So our subset begins. If you remember at the beginning, I said that the starting index was inclusive. You can see here that the starting index being inclusive means that the item at that index is included in the subset. So we started our subset right here, right in front of 1. So we're including the item at index 1. The item at index 2 is greater than or equal to our starting index, but also less than our ending index. So it's included in the subset. The same is true for 3 and 4. Now the computer has reached the item at index 5, and it stops, since we put that as our stopping index. But if you remember at the beginning, the stopping index is exclusive, meaning that the item at the stopping index, or at index 5 in this case, will not be part of the subset. You can think of it as stopping right before a stop sign. Similar to stopping right before a stop sign, the subset ends right before the item at index 5. So what is our subset going to be? Our subset is going to be the items 1, 2, 3, and 4. Perfect. Alright, so I'm back in my IDE. Now that we kind of saw what slicing is, let's look at some more examples in the file array1.py. Pause the video right now and try to guess what each subset will be equal to. Alright, so let's work through each example together. My first array that I declared is my pets. The array has 3 items in it, or 3 strings. It has cinnamon, scooter, and pumpkin. Then we print out a subset of the array. Our starting index is at index 0 and our ending index is at index 2. So what will our subset be? Since our starting index is at 0, when the computer hits the first item, cinnamon, that item is also at index 0. So cinnamon is included in our subset. Scooter is at index 1, which is greater than our starting index, but also less than our ending index. So scooter is also part of the subset. Pumpkin is at index 2, which is our ending index. But if you remember, the ending index is exclusive, meaning it won't be included. So this subset will be equal to just cinnamon and scooter, since pumpkin will not be included in the subset. Our next example, our next array, is rainbow. You can see it has all the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Then, next, in a print statement, I print out a subset of the array rainbow. Our starting index is at index 2, and our ending index is at index 5. So our first item, red, is at the index 0, which is not our starting index. So the computer simply ignores it. The next item, orange, is at the index 1. Again, like before, its index is 1, which is not our starting index. So the computer ignores it. Our next item is the string yellow. Its index is 2, which is our starting index. So the computer starts the subset right there, and yellow is included in the subset. Green is at the index 3, which is less than our ending index, so it gets included. Blue is at the index 4, which is less than our ending index, so it also gets included. Indigo is at the index 5, which is our ending index. But if you remember, the ending index is exclusive, so indigo will not be included in the subset. So our subset will just be yellow, green, and blue. Let's take a look at our last example, languages. Here I have the top 5 languages spoken in the world. We have the string Mandarin, the string Spanish, the string English, the string Hindi, and the string Arabic. In a print statement, I print out a subset of this list. The starting index is at index 0, and the ending index is at index 3. Since our first item is at the index 0, which is our starting index, the computer starts the subset and includes Mandarin. Spanish is at the index 1, which is less than our ending index, so it's included in the subset. English is at the index 2, which is less than our ending index, so it's included in the subset. Finally, Hindi is at the index 3, which is equal to our ending index. Since the ending index is exclusive, our subset will just be Mandarin, Spanish, and English. And if I run this program by clicking the run button up top, you can see that it prints out all of the subsets we just walked through. Perfect. There are some pretty cool things about slicing, and there are some really weird behaviors that you'll see. So let's head into array2.py to kind of take a look at what we can do with slicing. If you don't include the starting index when you slice arrays, the subset will begin at the very first index in the array. So you can see I have the array programming languages, and in it I have 4 strings: Python, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Then I have a print statement where I print out a subset of the array. Our ending index is at 2, but if you notice, I don't include the starting index. So that tells the computer I want to start my subset at the very first item in the array. So we start our subset at the very first item in the array since there is no starting index. So our subset will start with Python and will include Python. JavaScript is at the index 1, which is less than our ending index, so it gets included. HTML is at our ending index, index 2. But since our ending index is exclusive, HTML is not included in the subset. So our subset will be equal to just Python and JavaScript. If you don't include the ending index when you slice arrays, the subset starts at the starting index and continues throughout the rest of the array. So, for example, I have an array called favorite drinks. In it, I have 3 strings, or 3 items: iced coffee, water, and cranberry juice. Then I print out a subset of the array. My starting index is at index 1, but I don't include an ending index, which tells the computer that I want the subset to continue throughout the rest of the array and include the final item. So, iced coffee is at index 0, which is not our starting index, so the computer skips over it. Water is at the index 1, and since that is our starting index, this will be the first item in our subset. Remember, we don't have an ending index, so the subset will continue on throughout the rest of the array, including the final item. So what will our subset be? Our subset will be water and cranberry juice. Pretty cool, right? The last thing to cover is if we don't include the starting index or the ending index. If you don't include either the starting index or the ending index, the subset is a copy of the entire array. This comes more into play later when we're copying arrays and when we're talking about references and how an array is stored in the memory. But for right now, if you want to copy an array, try to slice it without a starting index or the ending index. We'll cover why and the exact reasons later on, but for right now, just use slicing. So you can see my example, I have an array called letters, and in it I have all the letters of the English alphabet, A through Z. I then print out letters, and I slice it, but I don't include the starting index or the ending index. So this will just print out a copy of the entire array. And if I run my run statement, you can see that it prints out all of the subsets I just walked through. Perfect. As you can see, slicing is very helpful when you want to get a subset of a list or when you just want to select more than one item from a list. There's a lot more you can do with slicing. From reversing arrays to skipping over items in an array, it's almost endless. But for right now, just practice slicing arrays using a starting index, an ending index, both, neither. Just try practicing it. The more you use it, the more comfortable you feel working with it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. This is Codergirl.py signing out.